Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Brainy Potas. Today we are like in the previous video we have seen some of the types of garbage collector, and now the rest of the garbage collector ZGC, Sentinel GC and Epsilon GC. We are going to uh, discuss these three GC, like how they work, what are their behavior, in which version they are available for. So let's get started. ZGC is an experimental garbage collection provided by Java 11, and ZGC is serial garbage collector. So basically, it does only once. I mean, the marking, the whole cycle of garbage collection. It does marking, and then it just sweep, and then it just compact. It's not like it will again go by generation. Okay, first this object is marked as live, then I will check for the next, wait for the next generation if it is live or dead, then wait for next generation, and then when my memory is full I will delete those after 2 or 3 times marking and scanning the memory. So it's just single generation. It just go scan the memory, find all of the dead objects, and then just delete them and compact it. So that is how ZGC is. It is the experimental garbage collection. So what do you mean by experimental? Is like it's not full proofed, but it is provided just to check the way the algorithm which they have designed is working fine or not. So with Java 11, it is added as an enhancement, and it actually is pretty good for server based application. So like for a web application there are multiple user working on it simultaneously, so huge memory is required to handle these number of users and their related operations and data. In this scenario, memory is too huge, and if we go with concurrent and G1 which we have seen earlier, so it will take too much time, like scanning this all memory. Let's say you have 4 GB, 10 20 GB of data, 200 GB of data, then scanning that memory and finding out the dead objects, and then emptying it out and then compacting memory, it's a very huge task. So ZGC is designed to cope up with this thing. So ZGC can actually have a very small pause time for the large memory. So you can say at till 4 TB of memory, it will give a very short pause time. That's how ZGC work. And before we start how ZGC work, we need to look into certain keywords used by that will be used in the explaining work. So first one is 64-bit reference pointer, color references. So basically, whenever we store a memory, so we have a physical memory, but in application program we use virtual memory. So this virtual memory is pointing to the data which is actually stored in some physical memory. So that pointer which is holding that address is the reference pointer, right? So in case of ZGC garbage collector, 64-bit reference pointer is used. So if you see 64-bit reference pointer, that itself means that it can point to a large memory size. So that's how it support for till 4 TB of data memory set actually. So what do you mean by color differences here? So basically the algorithm, the approach which is used, like 64 bits with multiple flags and multiple stages of marking the objects. So it just use that colored tree structure and then color mapping, and there's a relocation set. So actually like when we do you can say when we do sweeping, so it's just like now ZGC at the time of it determines, okay, this object is live and this is dead part. So what it does, it just like in G1 GC at the same time it just move object from that location, live object, and add it to some another empty location. So all of the locations which have some of the objects live while some of them are dead, so live objects are collected from there and relocated to a new location, so that we have new location completely filled, and while all those partially filled location will be emptied properly. So this relocation set is the set which takes care of these all the memory which is relocated from the older location to new location. Load barrier is something so okay, now what happened, this GC works concurrently with application. So application threads are also running and GC threads are also running in parallel. So now what happens, that my GC has determined that this object is not live anymore, and some of the objects are live anymore, and it is relocation the live objects to some new memory, and at the same time my application is accessing that memory which got reallocated. So now what happens in this scenario, our application will access the garbage data because it doesn't know the new address. So that is a load barrier which puts the restriction in such scenario, and this load barrier ensures okay you will get the correct object even though it is getting relocated. And then there are status bits, as I said, that to identify like okay this memory location is marked, this is reallocated, remapped to the new memory address, variable has a new memory address, finalizable bit. So basically the bit which says okay this in finalized block, if I am again using the objects or I am dereferencing the objects, so from finalized block I got to know that I need to delete this object. So that is finalized bit because this is the last moment work when GC finally deletes the object. Now there's a forwarding table. So this, what does forwarding table do? So forwarding table actually just hold the new address and the old address of the objects which are reallocated. And marking, so marking we all know, like finding out the objects which are live and which are there. And remapping is the mapping, okay, so there's an object which is at old location, now I have relocated it to the new location. So I, the reference pointer, the address pointer which I am using, I need to map it again to the new address. So that is called as remapping. So these are the basic required terminology. Now let's go to the so for understanding how does it works, I actually refer to multiple document on the multiple blog actually. So I will give you link of those blogs in my description. So let's go with this. First phase is the marking phase, and this marking phase consists of three phases. So like what it does, okay, now garbage collection starts running, it just stop the applications, all of the application which are running right now for a little bit of time to find out the GC routes which we discussed in my earlier videos, to find out a route from where garbage collection will scan all of the memory references. And after that it starts the application after it finds out such GC route. And then with the concurrent in the concurrent nature, like application is running and then our GC is also running in the concurrent way, it scans all of the memory and mark all of the objects, all of the references if they are reachable or not. And then after that once it finds out okay all of the references I have find out, I know which one to delete, which one to keep, it just again stop the application which are running to again finalize. I told you finalize bit to find out okay if there is anything happening in the finalized block which is affecting my selection set of these memory. So that is the last phase. Now after that there is reference coloring. So what is this reference coloring is, like I told you, these three bits are used to finalize the references. I mean to decide which category this reference belong to. So this is the reference collection with these three bits in the variable, reference variable. So like if object is getting null, assigned to null in the finalized block or getting used again in the finalized block, this finalized bit is set. Then remap bit, like if the relocation happens and the new reference variable is also updated, then remap bit is set to 1. And marked 0 1 2 means like okay this object is marked as live or marked as deleted in the marking phase. Now happens the reallocation. So relocation is the main part here, which makes GC work faster, because it's not like we are first deleting the objects and then we are compacting it. So deleting and compacting are not two different phases, they are clubbed in the one named as relocation. So the memory objects are the live memory objects are collected from those memory location and saved collectively. They are saved in another location, so that the partially filled location will be freed up and the another memory location will be completely filled. This will prevent fragmentation also and speed up the process, garbage collection process and application performance, both of the thing. So in this reallocation phase, what happens, like first the concurrently it runs with the application and finds out, okay, these are the relocation. So relocation set means the objects which needs to be reallocated from the marked which are marked as live, so they needs to be reallocated. It finds those objects and put them in the reallocation set, and after that it again stops application for a little bit of time, so that the GC routes which we have identified earlier in the marking phase are reallocated to the new location. And after that it update the references with the memory variables like the 64-bit reference pointers, and then it again starts the application execution, and in concurrently in concurrent manner again they remove the rest of the objects which are not root objects but they are linked from the root to the new location where we have moved the root. So now two things can happen. One thing is like you update the reference variable at the same time to the new address, or you just add these entries in the forwarding table which I mentioned earlier, like with old address and new address. And then in the next phase, that is the remapping and load barrier. In the next phase, we will be just uh, updating this address to the reference variable, so that we don't need to like loop it again and again over and over again to find out and updating the variable. This will save that time. So now in this the last phase, that is remapping and load barriers which we talk about. So once application, so like application is running concurrently, and then it is calling the variable which is just reallocated, relocated. So load barrier just ensure, okay, it will just put a check, okay, if check at the reference variable, like if the remap bit is set to 1, remap bit is set to 1, that means okay, the object is relocated and the variable pointer has the new address, latest address. But if it has 0, it is set to 0, that means it needs to check, okay, does the memory location needs to be relocated, does it really relocated or it's still at the old address. So for that it just go to the forwarding table and check, okay, the target, if it is reallocated or not. So if there is an entry in the forwarding table, it is reallocated. Otherwise it just check, okay, if it is marked for the reallocation set, like in the reallocation set it is there but it's not reallocated, so it reallocated it and add the entry in the forwarding table and update the pointer address. But if it is not present in the reallocation set, also not present in the forwarding table, that means this object or the memory address don't need to be reallocated. It is at its correct place, and just what it does, load barrier will set the remap bit to 1 again without updating any address because it doesn't need. So that's how this JetGC work in these 4 steps. And if you want to read in more detail, you can go to this website. I will just give you the link. There are certain different points which you can refer to. Talking about Sananda GC, so what it is also experimental GC. So it is released in Java 12. So actually what does Java do? With each and every release, it just release experimental version. So the version which works, but it's not a complete, like they say, okay, might possible like some of the enhancements, some of the modification need to be done to make it more perfect. But first, like the alpha version, the beta version of the testing, that kind of thing. So with Java 12, the default garbage collector is this garbage collector. And what this garbage collector do? This garbage collector combines the advantage of both G1GC and JetGC. and then club it together. So G1GC is a generational garbage collector, so as is this garbage collector. And G1GC use the regions, the memory is divided into regions, and then those regions are just scanned and then passed on. And that's how it works. So the difference between this is like in the G1GC we have a very small memory with which we work on, while in this Send GC we have large memory area which can be divided into multiple regions, and actually it scans one time. So first what it does, it also do the concurrent marking, evacuation and update reference. But the here it is like in G1GC what we do, we update a set. So we have different phase, like in one phase we mark all the reasons, and then in next phase we move them, sweep them, the reason, like club the old reason with the new reason, some humongous reasons also. So like we have a different phase, and then in that, after that different phase, we have again a phase which is like finalized phase, which do okay, all of the things are settled down. So that's how G1GC worked. But now in this case, they have changed that phase of like sweeping. So you don't need to have a different phase to sweep and reallocate. Like how ZGC worked. At the same time, it just remove the live objects and move to the new location. But it's not like okay, you need to update the reference pointer at the same time, so that so in that case if you are updating a reference pointer, this is the important part. So let's say your application is also running and you are updating the address because you have moved it from the old location and put it to a new location. You have freed up some memory and you are updating now reference variable which is pointing to this old location, and now it should point to the new location. So while application is running and you are doing the same thing, it means it can be a consistency issue. So to avoid that, this Sender GC, what it does, like how we handle in ZGC, we have multiple barriers. So what it does, okay, it just relocate object to the new memory location, and once the relocation is done, it doesn't update the variable at the same time. It has placed some variable, some barrier like read barrier, write barrier, and one more barrier, SATP barrier. So what it does, like okay, so these barriers, at like it's clear, like read barrier. So if my application is again calling that variable and reading it, it will check. The GC will check. Okay, if the relocation has happened for this variable, the memory needs to be updated. Then we have certain sets like in G1, like in ZGC we have this forwarding table relocation set, but here we have collection set. So like the orange, which orange block which we are seeing is a collection. So these green one are the live objects which are partially memory area is free, partially is busy, I mean partially is occupied. So we can actually club these and these area into a single memory area, so that we can make these 5 blocks free and that can be used by a different application or a variable all in all. So these are actually maintained in this orange area which is collection area. So this is the collection set, and once this collection set all of these detail, these are freed basically, because these address are old address and the new address is this one. So that is handled in a collection set. Now next time when you read that variable, it checks in the collection set and the address and then update the reference variable. And once like all of the address variable are updated for all of the memory addresses which is there in the collection set. So sorry yep. So after that it is marked, you see it is marked as blue. That means all of the reference variable are updated and these areas are free, these one which we have moved from. So that's how this works. So this is this has combined the properties of both G1GC and ZGC to make it more enhanced and more performant. That's the only difference between, so the only difference between ZGC and this GC is, like ZGC is single generation, it is multi generation, it just concurrently scan again and again, and then only delete and remove the objects. And G1GC and this GC is like, G1GC is different phases separately itself, while it combines all of them using barriers. Now, talking about epsilon GC. So, this epsilon GC is known as no op experimental garbage collector. So, I explained you the funda of experimental garbage collector, what it is, and now it is a no op. So, what do you mean by no op? So, no op means this is the garbage collection which actually doesn't collect any garbage. So, this seems funny, but yeah, it is like it. So what it does, it just allocates the memory. Once memory is allocated in the Java, it is allocated. So application will keep allocating memory, but it just keep track of what, like if our memory area is full, like heap area is completely full, it will just terminate the application, shut down the application with the error like memory is full, out of memory error. So that instead of getting overflow overflow exception and other like things like stack is not available, array index and all these things, so just close it before program start to behave, like application start to behave in a random manner. So that's what it doesn't reclaim any memory. It is introduced in Java 11, and it's not a default functionality. It's like if you want to use this, you can use this, but the question is, why do you use it if it doesn't reclaim any Java memory? Like our application is going to shut down if my heap is full. So there are certain scenarios where you can use it. So in the application, like you are testing your application, you know I am going to test it with this type, this certain testing set, and in this certain testing set I don't need garbage collector. So because what happens if I use any fancy garbage collector, like any garbage collector which is introduced in Java 11, Java 12, it will also occupy some resources, some CPU, because it run concurrently with my application, so it requires those resources. And then my performance testing, I don't need to create a huge system for the performance testing. I just create the single core, single node, and then they test it accordingly. Maybe like the simplest example. So in that scenario, I know I have this amount of data and this will be able to occupied in the heap properly. It will not cross the heap memory area. Then I just use this epsilon GC, which will does not consume any extra resources, and my testing will happen properly. So these kind of scenarios are used, like performance testing, and like you have low data application, you have very small jobs, very small task, your application is performing only one or two or three things, then you can use these kind of GC. Alright guys, we have completed all of the 7 types of GC which are available right now and provided by Java, and we have also seen like with which version which is the default GC available, and how can we set a required GC if we want to. And I have given reference link for all of the different sites and blogs which I have referred to in preparing this document and then this video with the working and other things. I will provide you that in the description, and you can look into them for more information. And that's all. I hope you liked the video and you enjoyed it really and understood the concepts. Then please like, comment, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you.